everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady checking in with a weekly garden tour. And the scene today is very different than usual. We got a nice coating of snow. I mean, nice if you like the white stuff. And the garden is completely covered. In fact, really the only tracks you'll see are from the cats who have been busy exploring all night long. Therefore, I have been up all night long, letting them in and out. But I wanted to show you around the garden in this time of like peace and quiet and relaxation, and there is absolutely nothing that I can do in the garden to keep myself occupied. So other than this tour, this whole weekend I'll be inside on my computer. So let's take a stroll. Judging by other vehicles on the road, it doesn't look like the roads are very clear, but David is determined to take the Land Rover out. The Land Rover is really probably the best vehicle for this. And obviously it's not that much snow, it's only a few inches, but underneath all that snow is slush and ice, and we're not really getting above freezing. So that's what makes it so dangerous. You know, these are not the roads that you should be out driving on. Put it that way. I'm sure the highways and stuff are fine, but really this is it's quite icy. Like if you look here, well, it's slush, it's not ice, but I guess, you know, overnight that'll turn to ice. So it is really funny though. This is how we see the cats. Actually, they roam the whole neighborhood. I like to think that they stay in our yards, but they definitely don't. They have walked pretty much everywhere. There's cat prints all over the place. And they certainly don't walk in straight lines. But, you know, the garden is quite pretty when it's coated in snow. I mean, look at that. It looks like a Hallmark card. I have no intentions of going anywhere. I've lived in the South for 20 years, and I know that it's just not the right decision to go out and about in this kind of weather. This is particularly pretty though, this bird's nest in this Viburnum bitchuense, which you can see is really held on to its leaves. And look at that pretty bird's nest coated in snow. It's not being used right now. So we'll just take a walk and see if anything looks particularly pretty. The trachycarpus, the windmill palm, that's always a fun thing to see. Last week it was coated in ice. This week it's covered in snow. I still have my salt hanging up there. I should probably use that. The Bridal Veil Prunus mume, you know, from a distance it still looks quite good. The flowers are a little bit burnt, but they do look pretty. You see some snow hanging on the branches there. These hydrangeas look great, snow covered. This is Hydrangea paniculata sweet summer, and I'm trying to grow these on standard, meaning single stems. And of course, I talk about this plant a lot, Lindera, in the fall, but this is really the main reason I grow it, is for this winter interest, these tardily deciduous leaves that stay tan until new growth starts to flush out. And I think that's really pretty at this season with all the white snow. All right, I see the cats have patrolled the north side of the house as well. And, you know, osmanthus does a great job holding snow, camellias as well. But look at this conifer. This is Abies nordmaniana. I've had people ask in prior tours, and I grew this from seed, and I had intended on using it as a Christmas tree, a live cut Christmas tree. And then I did it, and it's gonna be way too large for this spot. You know, it's house adjacent. But I just kind of can't bear to take it out. So there it is. Looking beautiful in the snow. Of course, I've been using this Distillium in flower arrangements inside but it looks great out here as well. You can see the flowers are just starting to open. They haven't really opened yet. Of course, evergreen magnolias. It is a pretty scene. I'm glad that, generally speaking, in North Carolina the snow doesn't last too long, so probably the next couple of days this will melt. We're pretty cold though. We have like mid to low teens in the forecast, so that's always something to be concerned about, especially for the number of containers that I have planted. Those are really the thing that you kind of worry about. Now the good thing with snow is that it's a great insulator. So here we have a pot from Crescent Gardens, and I bet that everything except this mustard, which had started to grow and bolt, that'll probably die. I'll cut that down, but I bet everything else planted inside there will rebound. Pretty scene here with the sunshine blue blueberry. You can see this has already started to initiate a lot of flowers. They haven't opened yet, but this is the problem with growing blueberries that don't have the right chill hours. So this is one that's really good for North Florida. But here in North Carolina, it tends to bloom too early. We have about 800 to 1,000 chill hours. This blueberry will start to flower with 400 chill hours. So there's a little tip for blueberry variety selection. I probably could have brought some more plants in to the shed, but I didn't. I stayed inside and worked on articles and stuff all day the last 2 days. These pots, hopefully everything will, they don't look great. These plants aren't really meant for cold. And of course, there's the kale completely covered, and that's a floating arrangement. You can't see anything in. Over here, a floating arrangement from last week. This one is frozen. But you see how the arrangements just sort of get frozen in time. I think they're really beautiful. It's really like my favorite thing about winter. Well, here gives you an indication of how much snow we got. It's like half my hand, a couple inches. You know, I did grow up in Michigan. It's not like I don't understand snow. I just don't like it. I mean, this is fine. It's pretty for a moment, but I don't want to live in an environment with tons of snow. Hard to imagine jumping in the feed tank. And it's really hard to imagine. Just a few weeks ago, I was in here vacuuming. It does need to be vacuumed again, but I have to wait until temperatures get warmer, because dealing with hoses that are frozen isn't any fun at all. Now, I have a strong suspicion that all of the vegetables here are, they're gonna end up just getting cut down. I'll start fresh vegetable seedlings in the next couple of weeks and then replant for spring harvest. But I don't think that these cabbages or broccolis are gonna rebound after the last 2 weeks of cold weather, and especially with mid-teens predicted for the coming days. I think that I'll just scrap whatever was left. And it's just white everywhere. It is quite pretty, and it's sort of quiet and calm, and the woodland looks really nice. You can really notice all of the native Ilex opaca. That's that shrub back there that really holds on to a lot of snow as well. And of course the Prunus mumes right there, you can't see. The camera doesn't really pick it up, but Pink Panther still has lots of pink flower buds that haven't opened. You can kind of see it now. And over there, Josephine is looking kind of beat up. That one has pale white flowers, and they've definitely gotten nipped from the cold. But one thing I noticed from my kitchen window that I was really charmed by is this hardy citrus, which I showed this week in the tour from the Ralston Arboretum. And this is from that giant plant, that enormous plant they have. And you can see there's still citrus up in the tree, coated in snow. kind of pretty. So let's take a look at the Edgeworthia around the corner and see how that's doing. Well, the cats yet again beat me to it. There is no area that they have not already gone through. You can see I've got bottles from some friends. Actually, this is from my parents to add to bottle walls. And the Edgeworthia here looks fine. You see a little bit of snow on the flowers, but no real damage to the blooms themselves. And you know, this one is definitely in a unique spot. I know I mentioned this a lot, but remember, this is a rooted cutting that I potted, and then it rooted through the pot and planted itself. I would never plant anything in this location. But it happens to be really happy here. Look at all those beautiful flowers. Quite a scene. And as we come into the woodland, I see some camellia flowers that don't look great, but more Edgeworthias. These are more exposed and yet still fully blooming. See that, and some camellias. It really is quite pretty. You can see the crimson candles. Thankfully, hasn't really fully opened. It's more advanced than it was a week ago, but not fully open yet. And these Edgeworthia, this Edgeworthia here is way ahead too, out in full exposure. Now, one that hasn't started to bloom yet is what I call papifera. And you can see everything on this one is so much smaller and it's much later. But I mean, look at the bloom size and the overall size of the plant, how slender the stems are, and then compare it right here to Edgeworthia chrysantha, where you have much larger flowers, much thicker stems, and overall a much taller growing habit. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's snowy garden tour. I am cold, my fingers are red, and I'm ready to go back inside. I cannot wait until summer. I will not deny that that is my habit. I see David is pulling in successfully with the Land Rover. So I guess it was a safe journey through the neighborhood. And I hope all of you will stay safe and not have any troubles during these winter storms that are kind of blanketing the East Coast. And thanks so much for watching, everybody. I look forward to sharing the garden again next week. Hopefully you'll actually get to see some plants. All of this will be melted. All right, take care, everybody.